Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at another data automation example. I believe most Excel users are comfortable with using the VLOOKUP function, and I think it does the job very well as long as the data is located in one or two tables, maybe in one or two worksheets. But in real world projects, that's not always the case, and sometimes data is often spread across many worksheets, and that's what we're going to do today. And in this workbook, which is one of the Spotify datasets that's available on Kaggle, and I have deliberately created 50 more worksheets, and I have spread the data across these 50 worksheets. And now the idea is to locate where the track ID is exactly, and if found, to get the track name, the artist name, and also the worksheet name. I think this is a example that without VBA and without some automation, with just manual work and worksheet functions, it will probably take at least a few hours. So Alt F11 to launch the Visual Basic Editor, and I'm going to insert a module and start writing a subroutine, which I will call multiple worksheets VLOOKUP. And before even started writing the code here, I'd like to underline that in a real world project, I would most likely refrain from using VLOOKUP to solve this. I think there is a lot better approach, way more efficient, way faster, a lot more flexible, and I'm going to show this in one of the future videos. But for now, let's stick to VLOOKUP. So the first thing I'd like to do is to create a structure in order to write a for next loop for all cells from the second to the last row in worksheet track IDs. So let's first declare a variable for the worksheet, which I will call data.ws, and set it this workbook dot worksheets track underscore IDs. And I will also need two more variables, one for the last row and another that I will use in the loop. And let's start from the second to the last row. Actually, I need to find the last row first. So as I'm typing too fast, sometimes I make mistakes. So this will be data.ws.cells rows.count1 and excel up.row. And just to check that it works, let's print debug that. Let's print the last row in the immediate window. So it's 7942. And I believe that this is correct. And now what we also need to do is start looping through the worksheets, through each sheet, apart from the first one, from the one with name track IDs. So another variable here, ws as worksheet, and this is going to be for each loop, for each ws in this workbook.worksheets next ws. And since we don't need to do anything with the first worksheet, you can write if ws.name is different than track underscore IDs, then and if. And this is where things become a little bit difficult, because across each worksheet, we will have to dynamically find the lookup range, and each worksheet has a different number of columns. So this one has 141, and this has 182, and so on. So maybe it will be a lot more organized if I do this in a different function. So I'm going to declare a variable which I will call lookup range as range. And let's start writing a function here, which I will call get lookup range. And this function will receive the worksheet that we're currently in. So I'm going to type in here ws as worksheet, and the function itself will return range object. Here in the loop, I will set the lookup range to be equal to whatever that function returns. And now let's write the code in the function. Obviously, we will need to dynamically find both the last row and last column. So last row as long and last column as integer. And I have another video for finding the last row and column dynamically, so I'll make sure to link it in the description in case you haven't watched it. So this will be again rows.count1 and exo up.row, and the last call will be on row 1 and columns.count and exo to left dot column. And since this returns range, we need to assign a value to that function using the set keyword. So set get lookup range equals the range of cells on the worksheet that we're being passed, where the first cell will be on the second row and column 1, and the last cell will be on the last row and last column, and I need to close the parentheses 2 times. Now I'd like to check that what I have written is correct. So just for debugging purposes, I'm going to activate the worksheet and select this range. So let's start debugging now. I'm going to start clicking F8. The first worksheet is with name track IDs. So these 3 lines now will be skipped. But the next worksheet is called part_1. So debugger will enter the if condition. And now we'll jump to this function. And now it's going to activate worksheet part 1. And let's see what range it will select. I think it works well. And let's see with the next iteration. And I think that's also correct. So I will reset the debugger now and let's delete these 2 lines of code. And now we need to write the VLOOKUP part. So for this, I'm going to need, actually, I don't think I need that many new variables, but I think I will declare them because it's going to be more understandable what I'm doing. So I'm going to declare the track ID as string, the track name as string, the artist name as string, and the worksheet name also as string. And I also want to declare a variable called simply v, which will be as variant. And this is what I'm going to use to check if that track ID from the data worksheet exists in the worksheet that we're currently looping. So here I'm going to write v equals application VLOOKUP. Actually, I first need to assign value to the track ID. So here I'm going to write track ID. This is going to be whatever the track ID is on the relevant row in the track IDs worksheet. So here, this is the data WS cells on row I and column 1.value. And only now I need to write the VLOOKUP part. So this is application VLOOKUP. We're looking for a track ID in the lookup range. The track IDs are always the first column. So this is going to be 1, and we're looking for exact match. So 0. And if the track ID is found, then Excel will return the track ID as string. And if it's not found, it's going to return a not available error. So I can check that with the if error function. So if not is error v, then and if, that means that the track ID has been found. So in this case, we can get the track name, the artist name, and the worksheet name. Now the track name is in column B, so that's the second column in the range, and the artist name is in column F, so this is the 6th column in the range. So I'm going to copy this part, save some typing. So track name equals this, and I will replace 1 with 2. Artist name again equals this, and I'm going to replace 1 with 6. And the worksheet name is the name property of the worksheet. And now we need to paste these values on the relevant row here. Here, here, and here. That's why I said that I probably don't need those 3 variables, but I think it's more understandable what I'm doing. So in this case, I'll write here that data WS cells on row I and column 2 value equals track name. Then data WS cells row I and column 3 dot value equals artist name, and data WS on I and column 4 equals worksheet name. And in this case, once we have found the track ID, it's very important to exit the inner loop. So I will write here exit 4. Because if we have found that this track ID is, for instance, on the 2nd or 3rd worksheet, then there's no need to continue looping through 47 more worksheets. That's the idea, to exit here. If we have completed this inner loop and we still haven't found the track, meaning this will remain, the v variable will still be an error, that means that this track does not exist. And here, if you take a look at the data set, you will see that I have deliberately added some gibberish values, which are obviously not track IDs. So here, I'm going to write that if, not here actually, outside the inner loop, if is error p, then and if, that means that track ID does not exist. And let's maximize the Visual Basic Editor again because the code became too long. So in this case, I can save some typing and maybe customize the error message a little bit. And I'm just going to write here, not a real song, no artist name, and maybe does not exist in dataset. And maybe just for the exercise, we can make the font bold. So data worksheet range, and the first cell will be I and 1. And the last cell will be I on column 4. That font, that bold equals true. So yeah, I'm going to test this now and see if it works or not. I believe it should work. Came a little bit complex subroutine to write. That's why I mentioned earlier that in a real world project I will likely refrain from using VLOOKUP. But I'm also interested to see how much time it will take to run, and therefore we can use the now function and see the start time and the end time. So the now function returns the current timestamp, and as I'm recording this video, it is the 23rd of December, 6 p.m. Bulgarian time. So I'm going to run the subroutine now and see exactly how much time it takes to run. Let's see what's going to happen here. So I click run. Okay, it took exactly 4 seconds. So I don't think the performance is that bad, to be honest, especially since it would have taken probably several hours if we were to do this manually. And yeah, those gibberish track IDs here apparently are not real songs. Let's verify some of the other values. So for instance, this track ID is the Lose Yourself song of Eminem, and it should be in worksheet part 1. So let's see if that's correct. I'm gonna copy this, and it exists here. And let's check the other one, which is Chopsy of System of a Down. It should be in worksheet part 36. So let's see. This is part 36. And there it is. So yeah, I think that was the exercise for today. As I mentioned, I believe there is a much better way to do this, and I'm going to show you this in one of the future videos. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.